9 today. Conduct of players and others. This is a two-part series. I don't know how far we're going to get today. I may stop a little early, but I want to make sure everybody understand. This is where we get a lot of misunderstanding, misapplications of rules when it gets down to the conduct of players and others. In the beginning of last year, I gave out a little quiz. It was like 3-part quiz, I think it was. I can't remember. But it was last year in 2022. And one of the questions was about personal fouls and unsportsmanlike conduct fouls. And I found that a lot of officials didn't they was because the fouls are the same, they both come with 15-yard penalties. We had officials thought it was interchangeable. Like a personal foul can be in exchange for unsportsmanlike conduct foul. An unsportsmanlike conduct foul can be replaced for a personal foul, and they're not. They're two separate type of fouls that come with two different types of penalties in regards on how we deal and relate to the person who received the unsportsmanlike conduct. So in this part of the course, we want to make sure everyone understand the difference between a personal foul and an unsportsmanlike conduct foul, as well as other things. So we're going to be talking about horse collar. And, we have a lot of people scream out when a player get grabbed with inside the collars or the numbers, it's a horse collar. But yet I always say, and when you're baking a cake and baking that cake, you got to have certain ingredients, right? You got to have the eggs, the flour, the milk, blah, blah, blah. So just because you had one ingredient of a horse collar doesn't mean that it's a horse collar. It has to be some subsequent events that happen to create that foul. And just grabbing inside the collar is not enough to be a horse collar. And when we get there, we'll talk about that. Obviously, blindside blocks is another conversation that we will have. And what is a legal blindside block versus an illegal blindside block, and so on and so forth. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first foul in Rule 1 is a very interesting one. And this is called helping the runner. And officials sit on both sides of the fence when it gets down to, should we call this, should we not call this foul? When I hear officials talk about this foul, they'll be saying, yeah, as long as you're not pulling the player or lifting the player, then it's not a foul. Pushing a player or pushing the foul, it should be fine. Now let me show you a little clip here real fast. So what we see here real quick is helping the runner always happens on close yardage plays, either a touchdown or a first down. And you see the player coming here pushing the quarterback in the back to help them gain some yardage. Now, the question is, will they gain it with or without the push? Right now, irrelevant. We're not talking about that. We're discussing, is helping the runner a foul or not? Now, in a collegiate book, in the NCAA rule book, in interfering for or helping the ball carrier or passer, it says that no other teammate shall grasp, pull, lift the ball carrier to assist in forward progress. And this is what I typically hear officials in National Federation High School when they discuss it. It says, yeah, as long as he's not pulling him or lifting him. Well, you're quoting exactly out of the NCAA rulebook. And, and sometimes the NCAA rulebook does coincide with the National Federation High School rulebook. But this is the difference between an educational trained official in the National Federation High School rules and who just learned their rules outside there in the ethos and whatever they hear, what they see on TV. Now, in the National Federation High School rule book, it says that an offensive player should not push, pull, or lift the runner to assist his forward progress. So in our rule book, it has the word push. So pushing in the National Federation of High School rules is illegal. Now, if you look at the diagram that the National Federation of High School rule provided, it provided two different diagrams. One, an A, the runner being pushed, and in two, and B, the runner being pulled. Each one is illegal. Now, how you want to rule on that and call on that, I guess is always up to you. When the coach tells me I have to call something, I always tell the coach, no, I do not. But in regards to this, it's good just to know the rules. That yes, it is illegal to push a runner into the end zone or to a first down. And again, you always see this in close yardage situations. You can always they'll line up. You get a whole bunch of players behind the runner, and they'll just try to push the runner into the first down or to the end zone. Now, in Rule 4.2.2, it says the ball becomes dead and the down ends when the runner is held so his forward progress is stopped. Now, this is my take on it, because the National Federation is always trying to balance out offense and defense and make sure no one is getting an advantage. And if the defense does their job and they held the runner from forward progress, and then we allow the offense to push that runner forward, well, not only we're causing issues where there may be risk of injury and so on and so forth, we're also giving a disadvantage to the defense because the defense did their job, and it's our job to call the play dead. So if we're not going to allow a cheap fumble, in other words, if I'm pushing a runner back and they fumble the ball, and we're going to say, oh no, it's dead because its forward progress is stopped, then why are we allowing the offense to push a runner forward when it's clearly is illegal by rule? All right. So that's just my little take on it. You can do with it as you like. But again, pushing a runner is illegal according to the National Federation of High School rules. All right. Section 2, illegal use of the hands and holding. All right. So illegal use of the hands is not the same as holding. They got the same signal, but they're different. They carry the same penalty, but they're different. So even if you say holding or illegal use of the hands, as long as you understand what foul you're calling, I guess you're going to get the same result. But let's look at what is considered illegal use of the hands. All right, a runner may not grasp a teammate. So again, this is almost it coincides with aiding the runner. The runner can't grasp the back of a teammate, and teammate running through and they hold on to the teammate for forward progress. That is illegal use of the hands, and that's a 10-yard penalty. So what about offensive players? All right, use a blocking technique which is not permissible by rule, and 2.3.2 and 2.3.3. Defensive player, use a technique that is not permissible by rule, and 2.3.2 and 2.3.5. And use hands to add momentum to a charge of a teammate on the line of scrimmage. Again, the defense can't grab one, can't a linebacker can't put his hands on the back of a defender and ram into the offensive line to add momentum or to push off to add momentum. If they can't do all that, then why are we allowing the offense to push their runner to gain more yardage? So all of that is all the same in relationships. No, and I know we watch a lot of college, a lot of NFL, and we see it, and it looks great. And in college is legal, and the NFL is legal, and we tend to allow that type of thinking to seep into the way we rule games. But the National Federation rules are different, and they're meant to be different. They're not meant to be the same as college and not meant to be the same as NFL. And we know they're not going to understand it. We know they're going to get upset with us, but hey, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. All right, let's go on. So there's two legal blocking techniques. In 322A, the first legal blocking technique is what we call a closed and cupped hand. The hands are in advance of the elbows. They're not extended more than 45 degrees from the body. The elbow may be either inside or outside the frame of the shoulders. The hands are closed or cupped with the palm not facing the opponents. The forearms shall not be extended more than 45 degrees from the blocker's body. If they are, the hands must be open and shall not be locked. So the first technique is the cupped hand technique, all right? The second technique is the open hand, all right? The team A blocker may use his open hands when blocking in the hands are in advance of the elbows and within the blocker's frame. And the opponent's frame. The hands must be open when the forearms are extended more than 45 degrees from the blocker's body. So again, there's a little diagram here. So what I'm going to show you is okay. I'm not done yet. I think I messed up here. Okay, let's go over this one. So contact of an eligible receiver, no longer a potential blocker. So this is also illegal use of the hands. And when number 80 is no longer a potential blocker, contacting the receiver is illegal use of the hands by the defense. Once number 80 is on the same yard line as the defender, or after he has made his cut away from the defender, he is no longer a potential blocker. If this contact occurs after a forward pass which crosses the neutral zone is in flight, it is defensive pass interference unless the pass is not in the vicinity of the contact. Now, college actually has the same rule as the National Federation of High School Rules when they get to this, although we see a lot of contact. The NFL has the 5-yard bump rule or 5-yard contact rule. And again, that rule does not apply to the National Federation of High School Rules. So there's no such thing as long as within 5 yards, the defender can make contact with the receiver. If the receiver cuts or decides to elude or evade the blocker loses right to make any contact with the potential receiver. So here goes a situation here in the case book that illustrates this point. NA1 sprints from the line and then cuts sharply toward the middle of the field. A1 makes no attempt to block defensive back B1. B1 pursues A1 and pushes him from the side using open hands. Contact is made on A1's upper arm before the pass is thrown. A1 was moving away from B1 when the contact occurred. All right, the ruling: illegal use of the hands by B1. The defender may legally contact an eligible receiver beyond the neutral zone before the pass is in flight, provided the receiver is a potential blocker. The contact may be blocked. The contact may be blocked or warding off the opponent who is attempting to block by pushing or pulling him. However, if the receiver is not attempting to block or has gone past the yard line occupied by the defender or is moving away, it is illegal for the defender to use hands in a manner described. In this situation, it is clear that A1 is no longer a potential blocker on B1. Again, there's no such thing as a 5-yard chuck rule in high school football. If the receiver is not trying to block the defensive end or trying to block the defender and trying to go around, the defender can have to play shadow or play close up on the receiver, but making contact to push them, to disrupt them off their path is illegal. All right, so let's get back to the blocking. I messed up on the slide. That's supposed to have been after this, but hey, We're going to look at an old film on a game official describing legal blocking, and then we're going to look at a coach's description of blocking.
And today we're with local official Jim Rosen, who will explain to us with our Parkway North players the two types of legal blocking techniques.
Randy, we can have two types of blocking techniques. One is a closed hand technique where the player will make contact with the shoulder. Notice his hands are in and they have to be cupped towards him, in close to his body. The second technique, which would be legal, is an arms extended. In this case, the palms have to be open. If they're closed, we see that he's probably grabbed a jersey or something. And the extension has to be at least 45 degrees or more away from his body. He also...
All right, so that is the game official description of the cup hand and the open hand technique. Now let's listen to the coach teaching the same blocking.
What I want to talk about right now is when our guard is blocking effectively, we want to make sure that he doesn't do anything improper that's going to cost our team yardage. More times than not, what you see happen is a running back will go around the end for a long run, or the quarterback will step up and get a big run, or we'll have a big pass play. And as soon as that happens, we find out that play doesn't stand and we lose 5 yards or 10 yards because of something that the guard did. So what we want to talk about is primarily holding. That's the main thing that we see that these guys do. And what we're talking about there is, go ahead, instead of fitting up into the numbers like you're supposed to do, go ahead, hut, is sometimes these guys will get wide out here and they'll grab out on the shoulder pads. Now, we'll be real honest here. Go back inside the numbers. Just go back inside the numbers. If you're not holding a little bit in here, what you want to do is you want to get a hold of that jersey a little bit, but you don't want to make it obvious. You want to be up close, grab a little jersey so you can move those guys easy. That's an old trick, but don't let the officials see you grabbing the jersey outside. Also, if this guy tries to get around to the inside, you can't grab the outside of the...
All right, so in those two techniques, and again, I hear this and see this a lot. Coaches teach their players to grab inside the breastplate area. And they teach it so much, they think that it's legal to do so. Anytime the hands close on the defender, it's illegal use of the hands. The hands must be open when they make contact with the defender. Any grasping or holding is illegal. But yet, we see coaches teach it. We see officials say, oh, that's fine. You can do that. No, you cannot. Anytime you're grabbing, the offensive grabbing or grasping anything on the offensive player is illegal. Now, do we normally see it? No, it's typically difficult for us to see, and that's why it makes it so effective. But if we do see it and we think it has a material effect on the play, then we have an obligation to call that hold, even though they was grabbing on the inside. The hands must be open. That's why it's called a open hand technique. So also, interlock blocking, grasping or circling a teammate is also illegal use of the hands. This is the only video I've seen in youth. I guess it was done in 2016. Let's look at it real fast. So we see the players right there hugging up together and coming through as a whole. That's considered interlock blocking, and that is illegal. All right, so don't really see that much often, but just in case you see it, now you know what it looks like. All right, holding. All right, an offensive player shall not use hands, arms, legs to hook, lock, clamp, grasp, encircle, or hold in an effort to restrain an opponent. Again, lock the hands, grasp, all those things considered holding, no matter if it's on the outside. Now, obviously, if you see them on the outside, like you see the picture here, that is a key red flag indicator that we have holding, because the hands are outside the framework of the defender. So that's automatically holding. But again, even if they're fighting for the inside and he's grabbing on the inside, if you see it and you think it has a material effect on the play, you can call it. All right. A defender shall not use his hands or arms to hook, lock, clamp, grasp, encircle, or hold an effort to restrain an opponent other than a runner. So, how do defenders use this in regards to holding? Well, what they'll do is they will grab the offensive lineman and they will pull him back to make room for a linebacker, to clear space for a linebacker. That's defensive holding. So, yes, a defender can grab an offensive player and move him out the way to get to the runner, and he got a little bit more leeway to use his hands. But at the same time, you got to be careful the defender is not using his hands as a disadvantage to try to make space and leeway for a teammate to get through, or to prevent him, the teammate from blocking. All right. So in your workbook, you got these 6 types of holding. It's just a way for you to understand when you see it, you know what you're looking at, and if you just give you a couple of descriptions and different types of holding. All right. Tackle, pull over, hook and restrain, grab and restrict, takedown, and jerk and restrict. So you got that in your workbook. Look at it and get familiar with it. Okay. All right. So illegal blocking. All right. So blocking is obstructing an opponent by contacting him with the arms or hands, provided the technique is legal. All right. So blocking by a player either in offense or defense is illegal when it's kick catching interference. In other words, remember the K cannot block a receiver or stop that receiver from going toward the ball. So if the receiver is trying to go for the ball or catch the ball, any interference by the kicking team is a kick catching interference. It is a foul. So again, that is a illegal block, which is a 15-yard penalty, and and a whole bunch of other stuff. For pass interference, in other words, obviously, any eligible receiver, offense or defense, they can't block in an effort when the forward passes in the air. They must play the ball. They can't be blocking each other and preventing each other from getting toward the ball. And if it's a personal foul, obviously. All right. A player shall not block an opponent in the back or below the waist. All right. So opponent cannot block in the back or below the waist except in a free blocking zone when the contact meets the requirements of 2-7 and to tackle a runner or a player pretending to be a runner. Now, the free blocking zone is a rectangular area extended laterally 4 yards either side of the spot of the snap and 3 yards behind each line of scrimmage. A player is in a free blocking zone, but any part of his body is in the zone at the snap. Okay. So look at the diagram. All 9 of those players are in the free blocking zone, so they're able to. A is able to block below the waist. B is able to block below the waist. A is able to block in the back. In the free blocking zone, and so it's a good mental note to see where you're at. Normally we say tackle to tackle. But yeah, it's 4 yards on either, a total of 8 yards, 4 yards on either side of the ball, and a total of 6 yards, 3 yards on either side of the ball. So look at this a little bit more. In play pick A, both players are in the free blocking zone and on their line of scrimmage. In play pick B, the block is legal because it is in the zone at the time of the snap. Is an immediate initial action following the snap, and both players begin to play on their line of scrimmage and in the free blocking zone. So first of all, the blocking below the waist has to be immediate. It can't be any delays. It has to be once the ball is snapped, it has to be initiated. There can't be any delay. So here in it's a blocking below the waist diagram here, it is legal for an offensive lineman to block below the waist in the free blocking zone, provided both players were on their line of scrimmage and within the zone at the time of the snap. And the block is immediate. Initial action following the snap, number 77 could only block number 62 below the waist if the block was immediate. Initial action following the snap. Number 65 can block number 93 below the waist, even though 93 is playing off his shoulder. If the block is immediate, initial action following the snap. Number 72 could not block number 55 below the waist at any time during the play because number 55 is outside the free blocking zone. So if you look where they're at in the hash, from hash mark to hash mark, the pole from the pole, center pole to the hash mark is 4 yards, and the center of the pole, the other hash mark is 4 yards. So it's a total of 8 yards. So basically, if the ball is right in the middle, the free blocking zone is from hash to hash, and there you go on that. Now, the rule regarding blocking below the waist applies equally to both teams. In play pick, the defender goes below the waist outside the free blocking zone to take out the lead blocker. This is a legal block by the defender. A block below the waist is only legal if it occurs in the free blocking zone, provided both players were on their line of scrimmage and within the zone at the time of the snap. And the block is immediate, initial action following the snap. And mammogram A3 takes a backward pass, a toss sweep with A10, the lead blocker. And mammogram B, defender B4 blocks A10 below the waist to free up other defenders. That is a foul. All right. So again, blocking place only is in the free blocking zone, and it applies to both offense and defense. Now, blocking in the back. Now, we know blocking in the back technically is a foul. However, there are instances where blocking in the back is legal. So an offensive blocker is between the runner and the potential tackler. The defender pushes the blocker from behind above the waist, then continue to pursue and make contact. The contact by the defender on the blocker is legal. It is also legal to use hands on the back of an opponent when the ball is loose, and the player may legally recover it. So on a fumble, they can be pushing in the back, they can be pushing it where they want. It's legal to do so. Also, I didn't put this in there, it's in the case book, but it's good to note it. What you want to make sure you see when you have a block in the back is the whole thing. So let's say an offensive player is initiating a block against the defender, and the defender turns his back on the offensive player. Well, that block in the back is not a foul. So if you're seeing that an offensive player is engaging or about to engage with a defender, and the defender turns and he hits the defender in the back, the defender might say, oh, he blocked me in the back. The coach may say, oh, he blocked me in the back. Understand that because he turned his back on the offensive player, that block in the back is legal. And in the casebook, it says you see the whole play. Just don't see the last part of it and think it's illegal because you see a block in the back. All right. So a player shall not chop, block, or clip. Rule 936. All right. Clipping is a block against an opponent when the initial contact is from behind, at, or below the waist, and not against a player who is a runner or pretending to be a runner. All right. So clipping is hitting a player in the back below the waist. It's very good, guardians, to know the definitions. I know I have fish tell me, oh, he got clipped. And I says, what happened? He got hit in the front. Well, getting hit in the front is not clipping. And now, get me wrong, blocking below the waist, which is hitting someone in the front at or below the waist, is 15-yard penalty, and clipping is a 15-yard penalty. When you're describing it, understand that they are not interchangeable. Clipping and blocking the waist is two different things. Clipping is from behind, blocking below the waist is in the front, or on the side is also clipping. All right. The exception that allow clipping in the free blocking zone has been eliminated. So back a while ago, clipping was illegal in the free blocking zone, but they eliminated it. So again, clipping is not allowed anywhere on the field. A chop block is a combination by two or more teammates against an opponent other than the runner with or without delay, where one of the blocks is below the waist and the other block is above the waist. It's at or below the waist. So this is what we call a chop block, and this is also illegal. All right. Illegal blocks such as chop blocks are not to be taught and must be penalized. Legal techniques such as low combination blocks in the free blocking zone are effective and minimize risk. So 2 players can block below the waist on 1 player in the free blocking zone, just block them below the waist. And there's no rule saying that 2 players can't block 1 player below the waist in the free blocking zone. But chop blocking, 1 high, 1 low, is illegal no matter where you're in the field. Right? Now, clipping, blocking below the waist, and blocking in the back are legal methods of bringing down a runner or a player pretending to be a runner. So all of those are legal, as long as if it's the runner, but illegal if it's not the runner. All right. So responsible of players and to avoid illegal contact. While it's imperative for coaches to continue teaching players how to avoid illegal contact, players are ultimately responsible for using legal blocking and tackling techniques. All right. So also in illegal blocks, it brings up the kicking team. So we talked about the free blocking zone. Now let's talk about the kicking team here. All right. The kicker or place kick holder of a free kick may not be blocked before advance 5 yards beyond his free kick line. The kick has touched the ground or another player. So the kicker and place kick holder on a free kick cannot be blocked unless they go 5 yards or the ground touch the ground, another player. So pretty much don't see it that much. A receiver targeting a kicker, a place kick holder going that far because it's a 10-yard restraining line between each other. We don't see it much, but hey, it's in there, and unless they advance forward, R can't go target a kicker or place kick holder. All right, no member of the kicking team to initiate contact to block an opponent on a free kick until a legal kick has traveled 10 yards, and no kicking team is eligible to recover a free kick ball. Now, this rule, and even in youth, if coaches on the receiving team know how to use this rule toward their advantage, it may help them out. But so basically, if K is not eligible to recover the ball, K is not cannot initiate any contact against R. So let's say on an onside kick, the ball is rolling, is on a 6-yard line. If R decides to go into that zone and to recover that ball, K cannot make any legal contact with R. So R can just legally just fall on the ball without getting any contact by K. Now, if R goes toward K, initiate contact with K, K is obviously going to defend himself and can block then. However, K can, and the whole reason behind this is a long history of K just demolishing R on a free kick, and all the rules since the free kick rules has been changing was to eliminate it from how far K can the kicker team can be off their restraining line, because they just charge at 10 yards back and build up all that kinetic energy just to smash the front line on an onside kick. The pop-up kick was also eliminated because K was just popping the ball up and just demolishing the front line. And so this was also a way for risk minimization and preventing K from making any contact with R until they are legally able to recover the ball. So the ball has to travel 10 yards before K can make contact with R. and they or have to be or has to touch the ground and then hit our player and bounce back within the training line, and they're able to recover it. So understand that if you're on the free kick line on either the kicking team or the receiving team, be mindful that K cannot legally block an R player within that 10 yards unless R initiate the contact. All right. So R is protected on onside kicks to recover the ball within that 10-yard while that ball is rolling within the 10 yards. They can just run up there and fall on it. They cannot be no one can make contact with them until they're able to recover the ball. All right. A receiver who has given a valid or invalid. Did I miss something here? Oh, the receiver to initiate block within the neutral zone. Okay. A receiver who has given a valid or invalid fair catch signal shall not block an opponent until the kick has ended. So I didn't have time to get no diagrams on this, but just understand if I'm a receiver and I give a valid fair catch signal, until that kick has ended, until it's recovered, go out of bounds, or break the R's goal line, the receiver cannot block, or it's a 15-yard penalty. Since they gave the valid fair kick signal or whatever, they're protected from any contact. So let's say I gave the valid fair kick signal and I muff the ball, and then I decided to block a defender who's coming trying to get the ball. I committed a foul. It's a 15-yard penalty. All right. And that's it on that. Let's move forward. All right. Illegal personal contact. So in the rule book, the rule book does not define what a personal foul is. The rule book does define what unsportsmanlike conduct foul is. So we're going to take some time just to talk about what is a personal foul, and then what is an unsportsmanlike conduct foul, and then what is a flagrant foul. And then we'll get into Rule 9.4 and look at all the different type of fouls that's considered personal fouls. But what we want to do here is just give everybody an understanding that a personal foul is not the same thing as unsportsmanlike conduct foul. An unsportsmanlike conduct foul is not the same thing as a personal foul. And this is very important when we talk about disqualifications. You got to know which two fouls cause a disqualification and which two fouls does not. So in Rule 216.2f, a non-player or unsportsmanlike conduct foul is a non-contact foul while the ball is dead or doing the down. The biggest key here to understand when we're talking about non-player or unsportsmanlike conduct fouls, there are non-contact fouls. Any foul that has contact involved is not an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. It can't be by definition. So there has to be, these are non-contact fouls. So now my personal definition for personal foul, since the rule book does not give a definition for personal foul. A personal foul is a foul with or without contact that impose danger to yourself, or teammates, or opponents as described in Rule 9.4. All right. So pretty much 99%, and the reason why I had with or without contact, because when we talk about hurdling, that's a personal foul, but it's necessary. There don't have to be no contact, but it's still considered a personal foul. That's the reason why I had to put with or without contact. But understand that personal fouls generally means there's a contact, right? I hit him, I punched him, I touched him, I knocked him to the ground, I grabbed his face mask, I did a whole bunch of other things. There was contact between myself and an opponent. That's where we get a personal foul from. So we get, we can't say, well, I hit him and I got an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. No, it's a personal foul. And we can't say that a personal foul is being cussed out by a coach or something like that. It has to be unsportsmanlike conduct fouls are non-contact fouls, and personal fouls are contact fouls. All right. In Rule 9.5 and Rule 9.8 in the notes, it says that a second unsportsmanlike foul results in disqualification. So the National Federation holds players and coaches' disrespectful behavior and attitude at a higher standard than players' contact fouls. So theoretically, unless covering official judges the foul to be flagrant, a single player can have more than 2 personal fouls and not be in danger of disqualification. All right. So a blindside block and another blindside block does not mean that player is disqualified. That player got 2 personal fouls. It's not basketball where you get 5 personal fouls, you're disqualified. If the covering official doesn't feel that it's flagrant and it's just bad playing on that player's part, that player can have as many personal fouls as you can give in a game until the coach pull them out of the game or whatever. But when it gets down to unsportsmanlike conduct fouls, 2 of those and you're disqualified. And I know some officials be like, well, I don't want to disqualify him, so I make it a personal foul. You can't, because if there's contact, if there's a non-contact foul, when we go through unsportsmanlike conduct, it's not a personal foul. You can't arbitrarily make it a personal foul. It's either an unsportsmanlike conduct foul or a personal foul. So let's talk about what is a flagrant foul. A flagrant foul is what we consider to be a one and done. In Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8, disqualifications also, if any fouls under these articles are judged by the game official to be flagrant in Rule 9. So what is a flagrant foul? In Rule 216.2c, a flagrant is a foul so severe or extreme that it places an opponent in a danger or serious injury or involves violations that are extremely or persistently vulgar or abusive contact. A flagrant foul applies to illegal personal contact, and it also applies to unsportsmanlike conduct foul. So, as a covering official, if you rule something to be flagrant, it can be unsportsmanlike conduct, it can be a personal foul, and it doesn't have to be 2 for unsportsmanlike conduct. It can be 1, and you can feel that it's so extreme that they need to be disqualified, and you be in the right to do so because you rule it to be a flagrant foul. So let's look at and here goes a little diagram. Violent, repeatedly pulling on a face mask, contact of an official, obviously you're going to be gone, and prolonged taunting of an opponent. That's going to be considered flagrant, and a player can be disqualified even for that. So let's look at some, when this rule came out in 2007, in the 2007 preseason guide, it gave a couple of case plays. So we're going to look at 3 case plays in regards to a flagrant foul so that you'll know that, okay, this is a ruling that I can do and I have in my arsenal if we feel that a player needs to be removed from the game. Right? So play 1. As A1 is running downfield, B1 runs up to him and grasps A1's face mask. B1 violently jerks A1's head up and down for several seconds before finally letting go. Ruling. Because of the violence and the persistent nature of B1's foul, it should be considered flagrant, and B1 is disqualified. So that's a personal foul, but yet, based on the play and the description, an official can rule it to be flagrant, and that player can be disqualified just for 1 foul. All right, play 2. After making the tackle, B1 remains near down runner A1, and A directs an obscene gesture at A1 while screaming obscenities at him, or ignores an official request to walk away from and to stop directing taunts at A1. Ruling. The acts described in A and B fall under the definition of flagrant. B1 should be penalized 15 yards and disqualified. So we just saw one as a personal foul and one as an unsportsmanlike conduct foul. We saw what the player did, and by the interpretation in case book, and National Federation in High School, they say it should be defined as flagrant and the player disqualified. Right? Again, that's your judgment, covering official. Just understand when you do make that call, the coaches will be upset, and you're gonna have to define it and simply say, Coach, I rule what that player did to be flagrant, and that's it. If you want to give any more description, you may, but understand if you're going to disqualify a player for one personal foul or one unsportsmanlike conduct foul, and you got to write a report or you got to give what happened, you have to use the word flagrant. Just saying, oh, he got one disqualification and I kicked him out of the game. You can't do that. That's not, by rule, you can't do that. Or he blindside blocked someone and I thought it was really bad, so I kicked him out of the game. Well, you can't do that. But if you say, hey, I ruled that it was flagrant and I'm standing by that, then the player will be disqualified, right? And the case book, the updated case book, it says A1 is advancing for a touchdown from B10's yard line. B1 commits a block with open hands against A2, is obviously out of the play at B's 15-yard line. The current official ruled that not only was the contact unnecessarily rough, it was judged by the game official to be flagrant, ruling the penalty for a foul may be enforced from the succeeding spot or the succeeding kickoff, and A's touchdown stands. B1 is disqualified because the foul was judged by the game official to be flagrant. Comment: game officials must be alert for flagrant fouls and enforce disqualification portions of the penalty if necessary. Now, we hear coaches all the time, I didn't hear the whistle blow, and the players need to keep their head on the swivel. You know, being on the football field does not give you the right to hit someone or to be hit by someone if you're not in the play. And that's something that we just really need to emphasize on and make sure that we let coaches know and these players know. You know, something I always say when we're talking about the logics behind football. And I always talk about how it's the offensive job responsibility to protect the runner. And it's a defensive job to get to the runner and to remove anyone out their way to get to the runner. Well, if I'm an offensive player or a defensive player, and I'm not trying to get to the runner, or I'm not trying to block for the runner, then any contact against me is illegal, because that's not your job, just to arbitrarily hit somebody on the field because they're there. It is my job as a defender to get to the runner and to block anybody in the back and to move anybody out my way to get to that runner. And as an offensive player, it's my job to move any blocker out the way so my runner can gain more yardage. And if I'm not making contact for any of those reasons, then my contact is illegal. And it's a personal foul. All right. So we got 10 more minutes. We're going to stop here on hurdling. Hurdling is a highlight reel, obviously, in NCAA and in NFL. And yet, sometimes they look really great in high school. But unfortunately, in high school, any hurdling of a player who is on their feet or 1 or 2 feet is considered a personal foul. Now, in here we see contact being made between 44 and 8. Sometimes there's no contact. Now, no player or non-player shall charge into or throw an opponent to the ground after he is obviously out of the play or after the ball has clearly been dead, and we just talked about that. And hurdle an opponent. Now, in the preseason guide, 2012, and I meant to bring it, I did not bring it, I apologize for that, but let's see if There's a front side of the back side of this. But in the summer of 2000, in 2012, the committee was being requested to remove the hurdling foul from the Blue Book, and yet the from an illegal contact. But the National Federation SMAC, which is the committee against acts, and they look at different things. They said no, do not remove it, because they have a lot of data on a lot of players being injured because of hurdling, and because that's one of the biggest things for the National Federation High School is for risk management. They decided not to remove it from the rule book. Next week I'll read the article to you. I didn't bring it with me. I left it at home on my desk. But yeah, so understand that hurdling was looked at in 2012 to being removed, but they did not remove it. They decided to keep it. So that tells you that hurdling is still to this day is a personal foul and illegal. All right. So we're going to stop there today, and then we'll pick up there and finish out rule 10 afterwards.